Time 9:52. Heart rate 127. Yes. Whoever said that riding a dirt bike isn't good for cardio, they were wrong. You wait till you start getting your bike stuck in gnarly stuff and having to turn it around. But that gets it going even better. Did you know that there are over 100 million products for sale on AliExpress? Today anyway, we're talking about just one of those, the Xiaomi Redmi Watch 5. Sorry, I can't get it to stay on when it's facing away from me. So look guys, I haven't worn a watch since I was probably 15 or 16. I'm now 50 years old. I feel like if I need to know the time, you know, my phone is never far away. However, there is one advantage to wearables like this, and it's something I've always kind of been a little bit curious about, and that is firstly heart rate monitoring. As we get older, you know, your fitness isn't as easy to keep up with. It's good to know how close you are to redlining the old ticker at times. And the second main thing that interests me is sleep tracking. I've always been curious to know what sort of quality of sleep I get, how long I actually am asleep for, how much deep sleep I get. And most of these sort of watches will tell you that that sort of stuff. You know, you probably want to take a lot of that information with a grain of salt. It's just a bit of a guide. You know, it's based on your heart rate and all that sort of thing, so probably not always 100% accurate, but it is pretty cool to get a bit of an idea. Now, smartwatches do vary in price. You can go to Big W and pick up one for well under $100, or at the other end of the spectrum, you can go for an Apple Watch if you've got an iPhone or whatever. This guy here, the Redmi 5, sits at probably at the budget end of the scale. It is comparatively low cost, but still very well full featured. I've actually been using this thing for a week now. It was a week ago today that I got it, and so far I really can't fault it. But we'll go into the pros and cons later on in this video. First, so we're going to run through a few of the specs of this guy. Let me just say right off the bat though, that if battery life is important to you, then this may be the one to check out. I actually watched quite a lot of reviews myself of the more budget smartwatch options, and this one was up there with the best battery life out of all the ones that I saw. Now, they do claim up to 24 days without a charge, so that's pretty freaking good when you consider the Apple Watch. If you're conservative with the battery and stretch it out, you might get 2 days out of the Apple Watch. This thing is crazy. Personally for me, this one is on 51% after a week, and as you can imagine, the first week that you get something like this, you're always fiddling with it. I'm always mucking around with it, checking it, fiddling, changing settings, all that sort of stuff. And I can honestly say that I charged it up to 100% the day that I got it. And since then I've been wearing it every day, using it every day for a full 7 days, and it's down to 51%. So easily 2 weeks out of one charge, 3 if you're, you know, a bit more conservative with it. Now, obviously there are different settings that affect battery life, you know, the always on display, stuff like that. I don't have that on. I just have it to come on if I look at it, so that saves battery, but it does come on quite often. Like even when just moving your arms, doing stuff, it'll come on all the time, but it doesn't seem to bother it. Okay, so the basic specs. The Xiaomi Redmi Watch 5 currently on special. I managed to get it off AliExpress for $126 with free shipping. There will be links in the description, of course, guys, with discount codes. One of my favorite things about this watch is its 2.07 inch AMOLED display. It's got 1500 nits of brightness, so there's absolutely no problem with being able to see it in bright sunlight. If you're familiar with AMOLED displays, you'll know how nice they are. The colors are crisp, the blacks are black. It is really a very nice screen. As I mentioned, up to 24 days of battery life. It has, of course, a heart rate sensor, sleep tracking. You can actually do Bluetooth phone calls with this, so it's got a speaker and a microphone in it, so you can talk, you know, like pretend to be Knight Rider.
Yeah, buddy, as a matter of fact, you can.
I haven't done that. I'm not interested in doing that. If my phone's close enough to Bluetooth to my watch, I'll just talk on the phone. It's not that big of a deal, but it's there if you want to be cool. It has inbuilt GPS, of course, so you know, if you're tracking walks or runs or whatever, it'll do all that. They do come in 3 different colors. I think the watch itself is metallic grey sort of colour, but there are 3 different strap colours that you can buy initially. Now, there are a whole bunch of aftermarket straps that you can get for it. I really like the strap on this, guys. It's quick release, so super easy to change straps if you want to. And this one that comes with it, I've never seen this design before in my life, but it is so cool. I love it. The tail of the strap tucks in there, so it's a basic buckle thing where, you know, you've got holes that you put a little pin through and you can adjust it that way. But the tail of the strap actually tucks into a slot there and goes in behind the rest of the strap. It's just tucked away. There's no little loop that you've got to feed it through that's going to move around all the time. It's not going to pull out. I've never had any issues with that strap coming out of there, guys, and it's just, it's such a good idea. Why didn't they think of that 50 years ago? I guess maybe it wouldn't work with leather or something like that back in the day, but yeah, this strap, guys, really good. I rate it highly. Now, the watch does come with a bunch of built-in different watch faces, so you've got a whole bunch of digital watch faces, you've got analog ones. Some of them are quite stylish. I like this one because it's got big numbers. I can see it without putting my glasses on. That's handy for us blind old people. And the watch face that I've chosen also has a little icon in the corner. You can set that to weather. I think that's what it was by default. It showed the temperature up in the corner. I've switched it to show my heart rate up in the corner there, which is always handy. I don't find that it updates all that often unless you actually go into the heart rate monitor page. But yeah, it is handy to have it there. You've got the date as well on there, and of course the remaining battery percentage. There are a whole bunch of apps on here. Obviously, you know, you've got your stats, which show how many steps you've done today, how many calories you've supposedly burnt, how much time you've been moving for, your sleep quality, all that sort of stuff. You can actually control your phone's camera with this. You've got weather. You can control your music with it, which is really handy. When I go walking in the mornings, I've got my headphones on, Bluetooth headphones, which are paired to my phone. I can actually skip tracks and stuff with the watch, so that's handy. When I'm watching YouTube on my TV at home, I actually use my phone as a remote control for my media center. Those controls actually show up on the watch as well, so I can pause and fast forward, all that sort of stuff, whatever I'm watching on TV with the watch, so that is super handy as well. There's a flashlight there, so like you can turn that on and the screen just goes to white, maximum brightness, so it actually works quite well as a bit of a flashlight in an emergency sort of situation. You can set an alarm, you've got a compass, you've got calendar, stopwatch, voice recorder, countdown timer. So yeah, there's quite a few handy little apps there to make the watch just that little bit more useful. Now the Redmi Watch 5 has 5 ATM water resistance. I'll put that up on the screen here. I'm not sure, I did look it up, but I can't remember how deep you could dive with it. You can swim, you can shower without taking it off, all that stuff. They recommend you don't sort of water ski, stuff like that. Don't pressure wash it. It's basically splash proof. You know, you can swim and you can snorkel and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, high pressure water will probably get into it. They claim is 33.5 grams. I think that's without the strap. I'll put it on the scale myself and put that up here and show you guys how much mine weighs with the strap. I will say that when you're riding the moto, you can feel it there on your wrist jiggling around. It's got enough heft to it to be able to feel that. What I do on the bike is just tighten the strap up by 1 notch. I don't like it too tight for general use, but on the bike I crank it up 1 notch just so that it doesn't flop around on my wrist so much, and it's definitely a lot more comfortable that way. The build quality of the watch itself looks really good. Like, it's aluminium around the edge, glass on the front of course, and plastic on the back. It does not feel at all like a cheap watch. So yeah, definitely nothing to complain about with the build quality yet anyway. Okay, so my experience with the watch so far, I can't complain about it. As I said, the heart rate monitor doesn't update constantly, but that's sort of one of those things that, you know, if it did constantly check it, it's going to drain the battery a lot quicker. So if you do want to monitor your heart rate, you know, constantly, you can just go into that page, the heart rate monitor page, and it will update it, you know, every pretty much couple of seconds. Other than that, guys, it's been bloody excellent. I love it. Like, you know, I'm not going to go as far as saying that I couldn't live without it now. It's just nice to have. It's one of those little luxury items. You know, I can see if what I'm doing is actually getting my heart rate fast enough to be of use. You know, am I getting enough exercise? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I doing enough steps each day? I most definitely am not some kind of fitness freak, and I never will be. So don't worry about that, guys. You know, I'm no teenager anymore, I'm getting up there. So, you know, we've got to start thinking about our health. And yeah, a smartwatch is a good way to sort of keep an eye on things. As I said, the screen is really nice and bright. I love it. You can set it like I have so that it comes on every time you raise it. One other thing I will say, and this is not a complaint about the watch, it's just one of those things, and that's notifications. By default, it sends all your notifications to your watch as well. That's like your text messages, your Facebook Messenger, whatever, all that stuff comes through on your phone as well. So your phone will beep, your watch will beep. It's too much. It's the same, for me, it's the same as using this to talk on the phone. If my phone's close enough to be paired up with my watch, I will just check my phone. I don't need the notifications coming through on here as well. It's kind of a little bit of overload. So yeah, you can turn that off in the app. It will stop sending notifications to your watch. That's super easy to do. I'm much happier with that turned off. It will still notify you when you reach your steps goal for the day. and your calories and your moving time. So those things are just like, it vibrates and it does a little ding. It's not like it's going off all the time. That's one of those things each per day. That's if you get to those goals, which I've only done once so far, and that was yesterday. I actually did my 6,000 steps yesterday, and it gave me a nice little jingle and said well done. Now, speaking of the app, no problems with the app. It's quite polished and well designed. I do quite like the app. On the app you can go into workout mode, and if you're going to do a walk or a run or whatever, you press start when you start that, and then it records. For example, with a run or a walk, it will record where you go with the GPS. It will show you, where you've been, how long you took, how fast you were going, how many steps you took, how much calories you burned, all that stuff. Very handy. I've done that a couple of times. Just with walking, I don't run. I'm not a runner. But I have started walking in the morning. So yeah, I do about 2.5 Ks every morning at a fairly brisk pace. It's quite hilly around my area, so it's good. But yeah, great little app, guys. Great little watch for the price, $126. You can't beat that. That beautiful AMOLED screen, the awesome battery life, the configurability. You can't install things like Google Maps on this particular watch. It doesn't have the required operating system, but as I said, it will track your walking and stuff, and you can see that on your phone. Yeah, cracking little watch, guys. You don't get much in the box with it. You get obviously the watch with its strap installed, you get an instruction book, and you get a USB charging cable. Now the cable is magnetic. It snaps onto the back of the watch and plugs into a USB-A port. I'm not exactly sure how long it takes to charge. As I said, it's not something I've had to worry about too much yet. But yeah, obviously if you whack it on the charger before you go to bed, it's going to be done by the morning, so no problem. Now, there are a number of other things that the watch does, like stress level monitoring, blood oxygen monitoring. I don't worry about that stuff yet. I may play with it in the future, but I haven't bothered messing with it yet, so I can't really let you know how good that is. But yeah, all those other features, not really interested in that stuff. As I said, the heart rate monitoring and the sleep tracking is what I was interested in. And obviously, having the time on my wrist, that's what a watch is primarily for, right? Anyway, as usual, guys, links in the description. Check them out on AliExpress. A lot cheaper than going through even the Xiaomi website. Just watch out for the counterfeit stuff on AliExpress. If it seems too good to be true, if the price is way too low, probably counterfeit crap. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you've been thinking about getting a smartwatch, but they're too expensive, check out the Xiaomi Redmi Watch 5. Excellent little watch for the money, guys. And I feel like it's my duty to jump in here and make sure once more that it's actually waterproof. All right, thanks for watching. Catch you later. Alright, just been hiking through the bush, around a bit of a track with my snapped off silky saw, and we have 148 beats per minute on the old ticker. Woo, good stuff. Cardio, baby.